Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Short video inventory of anti-heaven techniques, shaking throughout history. Su Han was originally a small security guard, but unexpectedly triggered the sky-defying live system. The top 10 anti-heaven techniques I have learned have all been live-streamed to the world of comprehensive martial arts. Upon accessing the inventory of fantasy martial arts, the great Qing ancestor dragon was crazily tempted. At all costs, find these incredible techniques for me. When the late Qing Dynasty allied forces invaded, the land god Zhang Sanfeng was furious. How dare foreign barbarians invade our 9 provinces? I'll just take off the head of that Japanese emperor. When it comes to the history and international songs of the Song Jin War, Huang Rong can't sit still. What's the use of this bird emperor asking him? Our Beggar's sect has turned against us. We don't rely on the Immortal Emperor, we rely on ourselves. Let's unite. Su Han didn't even know that just brushing short videos would bring about a revolutionary change in the 9 provinces of comprehensive martial arts. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. 001, live broadcast of the top 10 anti-heaven techniques. Ying Zheng was shocked. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Blue star, Zhongqing. There is light snow floating in the sky. Su Han sat in the pavilion. Putting down the thermos, I boredly took out my phone. Others work as security guards at the age of 50. I became a security guard at the age of 20. Take 30 less detours. But this job, sitting from morning till night, is really exhausting. It's better to brush through short videos and pass the time. Suan opens the video app. A video will pop up immediately. The dark curtain opens, bringing out rhythmic music and a line of ink-black characters. The 10 Great Martial Arts Inventory of the Mysterious World. Inventory it, take a look at what's on the list. Su Han is also an old bookworm. I usually enjoy reading martial arts and fantasy novels. This kind of skill inventory and ranking of combat power naturally attract me at a glance. The screen rotates. I saw only a young man, carrying a large millstone full of antiquity and sacredness, appears on the screen. The pattern on the grinding disc is mysterious, with nebulae swirling around. At first glance, it is not an ordinary thing. The text continues to appear. 10th place. Chaos God Grinding View Ideas. What Su Han doesn't know is. Meanwhile, another world exploded as a result. I can only see the world of the 9 provinces in Zhongwu. A huge canopy hangs horizontally above the sky. The same screen as the short video. Play it here. The sun cannot compete with it. And even if crossing mountains and rivers for thousands of miles, the sound on the screen is also clear. Blackwood Cliff. The seductive woman holding an embroidery needle lifted her eyelids as she focused on embroidery. There was a huge doubt in the shocked gaze. There was a movement in this sky curtain. The idea of chaos god's grinding view. What kind of divine object is this grinding wheel that can so shake people's hearts? Dongfang Bubi stared fixedly at the scene. Several black shadow rabbits rose and fell, entering the courtyard. Master, auspiciousness, great auspiciousness. The sky curtain has appeared, an elder excitedly reported. Dongfang Bubi glanced at him with a cold tone and said, "Do you think I'm blind?" The old man's face stiffened and he immediately became fearful. Focusing solely on reporting good luck, I unexpectedly stumbled upon a nail. Fortunately, Dongfang Bubi did not investigate, but continued to focus on the canopy. Passionate anticipation in my heart. Is it possible to release the entire inventory of this cultivation method for the world to learn? At the peak of Wudong Mountain. The old man sitting cross-legged opened his eyes. Looking at the towering sky, my expression was equally puzzled. In the fantasy world, a list of martial arts techniques. The old Taoist has heard of the heavenly court and the underworld, but has never heard of the fantasy world. Isn't it the upper realm that ordinary people find even more difficult to reach? Or is it another name from the upper realm for this Kyushu world? Zhang Sanfeng exuded a fairy-like demeanor and stroked his beard. Master, look. The 10th place cultivation technique has appeared. The eldest disciple behind him, Song Yuanxiao, exclaimed excitedly. I have never heard of the chaos grinder technique before. Zhang Sanfeng had a solemn expression and slowly shook his head. As a leading figure in the current martial arts world, his vision is not lacking. But I have not heard of this technique at all. Many disciples of Wudong Mountain also look up at the sky with a curious expression on their faces. This sky curtain has a long history. But it's the first time there's been a sound or a painting. And real people have already said so. This sky curtain is integrated with the sky, indicating great significance. No matter what appears on the sky, they must be extremely precious. It must be deeply imprinted in the mind. Donghai, Peach Blossom Island. The girl sitting by the shore washing her feet was completely attracted by the sky curtain. The delicate jade feet that splashed water stopped moving. Surprisingly, sound can still be heard from this canopy. It's just that this music is so strange. It's not like any instrument I've ever seen, but it's also heart-stirring. A list of magical world techniques. Interesting, tell Dad to go. Huang Rong was about to get up. Huang Yaoshi has appeared like a ghost. He carried his hands on his back and looked at the sky with a solemn expression. Dad. Watch in silence. Huang Yaoshi is very serious. The content on this canopy concerns all sentient beings and the overall situation. It must be treated with caution. Shaolin Temple. In the Sakya Mani Hall. The monks are doing morning classes. Reciting Buddhist scriptures and washing away the mortal nature. However, heart-wrenching music suddenly struck. All the monks were startled and ran to the entrance of the main hall. Above the sky, a few big characters full of royal aura came into view. A list of magical world techniques. Senior brother, what kind of world is this fantasy world? A Buddhist kingdom contains 3,000 great worlds, and this mystical world must also be one of them. My Shaolin Temple is the authentic martial arts school in the world. I wonder if there is my Shaolin Temple among these 10 major martial arts. They say it's a fantasy world, not our Kyushu. Sanjing Pavilion. The elderly monk also put down his broken broom and looked outside. The withered Buddhist heart, which was originally devoid of sadness and joy, unexpectedly touched by it. The idea of chaos god's grinding view. This name is extraordinary. It seems that the 9 provinces Jianghu is going to become chaotic. The old monk sang a Buddhist chant and looked at the sky with compassion. The great Qing Empire. Ying Zheng, wearing a black dragon robe and a waist adorned with heavenly questions, is attending a court meeting. Its majesty is as majestic as the sea, inviolable. Just sitting there. The civil and military officials felt immense pressure. At this moment, the sound of music drifted into the main hall. Everyone was aroused by curiosity. Who is playing the music outside? Ying Zheng asked lightly. Zhao Gao bowed and said, I have ordered the sword slaves to investigate. Just a moment. A lightning-like shadow flew from outside the hall. The true appearance of the 6 swordsmen just now, clasping their fists and respectfully reporting. Your Majesty, this voice comes from the heavenly curtain. Heavenly curtain, the scene has appeared. What? Ying Zheng rarely experienced significant emotional fluctuations. He stood up from the dragon chair. Walk outside under the crowd of courtiers. The idea of chaos god's grinding view. This seems like a painting from the time when ancient chaos had not yet opened, yet it is so majestic and shocking. The ministers were discussing extensively. Left Prime Minister Li Si was quick-witted and immediately saluted to congratulate. "Congratulations, Your Majesty, congratulations, Your Majesty. Perhaps the method of immortality that Your Majesty is seeking is right above this canopy." Although Ying Zheng's face remained expressionless. But my heart was filled with excitement. The 10th-ranked techniques are so extraordinary. What about the top-ranked one? How can we obtain this immortal technique? Just as everyone was shocked. Only heard a man casually comment from the sky curtain. At the beginning of chaos, the stone mill was accompanied by the death of gods and demons every time the grinding wheel turned. Imagine it could transform its divine soul and remain immortal. Ranked 10th. Su Han didn't expect it himself. One's own voice can also spread through the sky. The entire Kyushu world is heard very clearly by millions of people. Is this a fairy commenting? Li Si murmured in surprise. How could a mortal possibly have such means? He must be a fairy. Ying Zheng felt blood and heat all over his body. Spiritual transformation, eternal life and immortality. Isn't this exactly the way I've been searching for longevity? Ying Zheng spoke up and ordered, "Zhao Gao, pass on my decree. The Xiangyang family in the trap will all mobilize, at any cost, to find this cultivation method for me." 002, the anti-heavenly technique has caused a sensation in various dynasties. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The scene on the sky changes again. I saw a giant with 3 heads and 6 arms replace the divine mill. Giants have stars above their heads and feet on mountains and rivers. Muscles and muscles are like peaks and ridges. 3 pairs of eyes resemble the sun and moon. The divine light shines on the entire earth. A terrifying and sacred atmosphere. Ink characters then emerged from it. 9th place. 8-9 Xiangyang. This magnificent painting faces the impact of countless creatures in the world of Kyushu. For example, only then can there be more than enough. Great Qing, Great Ming, Great Song, Great Tang, Dali, Great Sui in other countries. From kings, marquis, generals, and ministers to peddlers and soldiers. They couldn't help but kneel on both knees. Worship and worship the giant. Humbly begging for the blessings of immortals. Immortal. Daming Palace. The young Emperor Zhu Hozhao's knee softened and he almost knelt down. "Your Majesty, be careful. You are the Emperor, please stand firm." Chao Jingchun released an internal force to support him. A sharp and gentle reminder. 3 heads and 6 arms, isn't this the fairy in mythology? Zhu Hozhao's voice trembled with excitement. Iron gallbladder god Ho Zhu ignored and solemnly continued. Those novel scripts were originally unreliable, but this image actually appeared on the sky. It seems that there are really immortals in this world. Are those legendary myths also true? Of course it's true. Not all the immortals just commented on the techniques. Zhu Hozhao danced excitedly and said, "Chaos God grinding temple ideas, the 8 or 9 Xiangyang, I want all of them. Uncle Huang, Chao Jingchun, hurry up and send someone to find them." His eyes lit up and he loudly said, "I also want to become an immortal." Dali Imperial Palace. Emperor Duanjingming and King of Zhenan Duanjingchun stood shoulder to shoulder. We have never heard of the concept of chaos god grinding before. But these 89 Xiangyang have been circulating in folk novels and storybooks for a long time. I'm afraid that the rivers and lakes of various countries will stir up a bloody storm. Duanjingming shook his head and said. Duanjingchun thought deeply, the chaotic era is approaching, and the wind and rain are swaying. I need to prepare early in Dali. The imperial palace of the great Tang Dynasty. A gray-haired old man closed his eyes and calculated. A mysterious aura escaped from him. Li Shimin paced back and forth on the side, looking at the sky from time to time. I dare not disturb you at all. After a moment, the old man opened his eyes. Li Shimin immediately asked, "How is the national teacher? Maybe we can calculate the whereabouts of the martial arts." Yuan Tiangang shook his head helplessly and said, "Your Majesty, it's better not to have too much hope." He looked up at the heavenly curtain and said, "There is a question about the heavenly curtain. These martial arts belong to the fantasy world, and it is unlikely to be found in these 9 states." Li Shimin's eyes showed disappointment. "However, I still haven't given up. Although that's the case, knowing that there are immortal methods, I find it difficult to remain indifferent." Li Shimin said. "Let Tiangang 36 Colonel go find it together. Double speed." In the security booth, Su Han Long pressed the screen. The playback speed suddenly became faster. 8th place Immortal Divine Skill. 7th place Congenital Gossip. The 6th place Immortal Scripture. The 5th Art of Immortality. The 4th place is Burned. 3rd place Heavenly Dragon Mind Technique. 2nd place Evil God's Decision. The 1st place he transformed into the law. The ranking of the top 10 martial arts techniques has been continuously highlighted. Su Han feels difficult to evaluate. Simply turned on the barrage function. Barrage after barrage immediately surged out. He must first transform into the law. Compared to these martial arts, Fun Ju is almost meaningless. To hold on to death is like a path of fire. I still like the spirit of Shen Xiang Jin Jian. Who said it's enough to sustain the path of fire? The upper limit of the burning decision is high. Suan watched the barrage and argued for a while. Feeling bored. With a casual swipe, create another video. Sing Girl sending Mingyue Dance Edition MV, only seen on the ancient style stage. 7 or 8 graceful little sisters. Wearing uniforms and dancing the body. Music and dance are presented together, eye-catching. Good guy, this dance is also too top-notch. I love to see, but I still need to see. Fun. Fans existed in ancient China, umbrellas appeared in the spring and autumn period, and lanterns appeared in the Han Dynasty. This is a pure Chinese style. Thank you. Kyushu World. Just now, people who were still boiling with enthusiasm and were about to become immortals. At this moment, watching the enchanting and colorful dances of the ladies, everyone's eyes widened. Xiangyang Palace of the Great Qing Dynasty. Man Chaoan and Wu stared closely at the sky, afraid of missing any link. I have never heard such breathtaking music and dance before. Are these all heavenly maidens from the immortal realm? Ying Zheng secretly agreed. Zhao Gao asked beside him, Your Majesty, should I record the dances and costumes on the sky curtain? Let me learn from you below. After pondering for a moment, Ying Zheng nodded and agreed, okay. As an emperor, these are indispensable. Moreover, it concerns the immortal realm and must be recorded. Your Majesty. According to the above text, what this canopy displays does not seem to be the fairyland. Lise noticed something unusual. Ying Zheng nodded slightly and said, the 2 characters period, are thought-provoking. Daming Palace. Zhu Hozhao was already feverish from watching. The lofty words and aspirations of becoming an immortal just now. At this moment, let's all forget about it. So, can dance still be done like this? It's so beautiful, so fun. Zhu Hozhao smiled and danced with the sky curtain. Without any imperial majesty. He has made up his mind. Let the weaving bureau design these clothes later. Then select some beauties from the workshop to learn dance. I also want to enjoy the same treatment as immortals. Zhu ignored his reckless nephew. A cold gleam flashed in the bottom of my eyes. Shaolin Temple. A group of monks blushed as they looked at them. Lower their heads one by one and close their palms. Continuously chanting, Amitabha Buddha. Some little monks, however, blushed while secretly watching the dance on the sky. The great scholars of various countries are even more outspoken in calling it immoral. Confucian disciples attacked him one after another with books of sages and sages. Do not look or listen unless you are polite. But still unable to suppress the desires in my heart. Cursing while peeking. The scene is quite comical. Mount Wudong. Zhang Sanfeng looked at the sky and laughed heartily. Unexpectedly, there is such a touching dance in the upper realm, it's interesting and interesting. Master, these women are dressed in revealing clothes and dance with ostentatious movements, like people from the demon cult. Song Yuanxiao frowned. The world on this sky is not my Kyushu. There may not be a distinction between righteous and demonic ways there. It's okay to take a look. Zhang Sanfeng said boldly. He established the sect and lived for 100 years. What he seeks is clarity of thought. How could these small details matter? Master, isn't the ancient and spring and autumn periods mentioned in the text all part of Kyushu's history? I think what this canopy displays may not necessarily be related to Kyushu. The fourth disciple Zhang Songshi pondered and said. Zhang Sanfeng nodded and said, Songshi's words are also good. Let's continue to read. If we continue to read, perhaps we can know what's going on in that world. On the other side. Su Han's finger slipped. Play the third video. 003. Kyushu vibration. Is the Qing Dynasty over? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Do you know the origin of sweet potatoes? Many people think that sweet potatoes are a specialty of our country, but in fact, that's not the case. The origin of sweet potatoes is actually like this. In the 23rd year of the Ming Dynasty's Wanli reign, Fujian was hit by a typhoon, causing severe famine. And at that time, the father and son of businessman Chen Jingluan, who frequently traveled between Fujian and the Philippines. I know that there is a widely cultivated high-yield sweet potato in the Philippines, which is a very good crop for disaster relief. So I found a way to introduce sweet potatoes to China. The Book of Min records that Chen was planting sweet potato vines in the Xiangyang region, coming from within a small box. Although the vines withered, they were cut and planted, and after a few days, they flourished on the ground. That's all it said. Since then, sweet potatoes have taken root and sprouted on Chinese soil. No wonder it's called sweet potato, and it's 666 times more swollen. The first thing I did when traveling through the Ming Dynasty was to go to America, retrieve the 8 major crops, and take off directly. Sweet potato vines can be used as vegetable storage feed, green feed, and tubers can be eaten, brewed, or made into sugar, yyds. Thank you, my ancestors. I can't survive without roasted sweet potatoes. Several acres of emerald green sweet potato leaves appear on the screen. And freshly dug sweet potatoes piled up like mountains. The entire Kyushu is visible to all. Daming Palace. Zhu Hozhao was taken aback. Surprisingly, my name, Daming, was mentioned on the sky. Just, what your name is Wanli. Why haven't I heard of it? Zhu ignored his solemn expression and said, the sky knows what ordinary people like us don't know. This may be the opportunity for the immortal to show the rise of my great Ming dynasty. If we search carefully, we will surely gain something. What Uncle Huang said is true. Zhu Hozhao nodded repeatedly. But I didn't take it seriously in my heart. Still yearning for the beautiful dance performance just now. Chao Jingchun, on the other hand, said excitedly. Your Majesty, please don't be impatient. I will send the East Factory to investigate now. The Imperial Palace of the Great Tang Dynasty. Li Shimin looked at the sky curtain. His expression was somewhat disheartened. The young emperor of the Ming Dynasty is fond of playing and leisure, and his virtues are non-existent. How could he decline to the sky? The Guanyin maid said thoughtfully, Your Majesty, let's first see what that sweet potato is. Since the immortal showed us this object, it must have profound meaning. Li Shimon's face softened and he said, You make sense. If this Nanyang sweet potato really exists, with its high yield and disaster resistance characteristics. Yuan Tiangdong's eyes are shining with fine radiance. I don't have to worry about famine anymore in the Tang dynasty, even among the people of Zhozhou. Immortal fruit has profound meaning. Upon hearing these words, the Guanyin maid was moved and couldn't help but bow to the sky. Fairy compassion. The Grand Qing Palace. Sweet potatoes have caused waves and waves here. Any official with some insight. Everyone knows the importance of sweet potatoes. High yield. Disaster resistance. If I could get this thing in my hands. What can be improved is national strength. The Great Qin annexed the Six Kingdoms, an unstoppable army with iron armor. It relies on the abundant military grain supply from the three major granaries of Qi, Shu, and Longxi. Otherwise, we would not be able to conquer the south and north, sweeping across the six harmonies. Nanyang. Ying Zheng said, It seems we need to send someone away. Your Majesty, according to what is said on the sky curtain, it is called the Land of America, and there are also 8 extraordinary crops. Li Si said, Maybe we can start together. Ying Zheng nodded. These are all capital for conquering Kyushu in the future. Never miss it. Watching the barrage of bullets drifting through the sky. Ying Zheng keenly captured the key points. Ancestor. Are these people who left messages descendants of the Kyushu states? Li Si is also very intelligent. Immediately said, Your Majesty, if I guess correctly, this canopy may reveal the future. In Ying Zheng's eyes, his brilliance was revealed. Future events. Is there a unified Kyushu and an unbreakable foundation for the future of oneself? Security booth. Su Han suddenly remembered something. Put down your phone. Open the goji berry jar and brew 2 goji berries for yourself. Opening up early and avoiding 30 years of detours. It's delicious. Su Han still didn't know about his actions. Directly causing the skyline of Kyushu world to fall into darkness. All countries and people are nervously staring at the sky. I don't know what exactly happened that caused the sky curtain to stop working. Donghai, Peach Blossom Island. Huang Rong asked in confusion, Why is the sky getting dark? Is it because the immortal is tired? Huang Yaoshi let out a faint sigh. I claim to know astronomy above and geography below, knowing everything and everything. But the things shown in this sky curtain, whether it's martial arts or sweet potatoes, I have no idea. I'm ashamed. Huang Rong smiled and said, Dad has already said that it's a fairy. Fairies know more than ordinary people, isn't it normal? If my dad knew so much, he would have become an immortal long ago. Why are you still staying on Peach Blossom Island? Being comforted by my daughter. Huang Yaoshi's sense of shame has been greatly dispelled. With a slight smile, he said, You. Huang Rong smiled like a flower and said, Hee hee. Su Han sat back on the chair. Open the phone and replay the short video. The content this time is very different from before. It is a slice of history that a history blogger explains. The title is, Why do boxers believe they are invincible? Why in the late Qing Dynasty, when we had already seen foreign guns and cannons? Will the boxer fighters still believe in the myth of invincibility? 7 steps away, the gun is fast, but within 7 steps, the gun is fast and accurate. Because the Qing Dynasty is over, they must cultivate the courage to be fearless of death. Just a beginning. It caused a shock in the Kyushu world. Daqing, Qianqing Palace. Young Kangxi looked at the sky. Shockingly speechless. Late Qing Dynasty. I'm done cleaning up. How could this be? Kangshi's legs became weak as if he had been struck by lightning. Just confirmed that this canopy can showcase future events. The result immediately revealed that the Qing Dynasty was about to end. As the emperor of the Qing Dynasty, Kangxi found it difficult to accept. Xiao Xuanzi, don't worry. The immortal said, that's late Qing. The Qing Dynasty's national strength is currently strong, so it must be fine. By the way, we know the future, can't we change it? A greasy-faced eunuch was persuading on the side. Upon hearing these words, Kangxi slightly regained his composure. Yes, Xiaoguizi, you're absolutely right. Knowing the future can change it. Kangxi gritted his teeth and repeated, staring closely at the sky. Afraid of missing any word by mistake. Daqin, Xiangyang Palace. Ying Zheng and his courtiers watched the sky curtain. Late Qing Dynasty. So, the future of the Qing Dynasty will come to an end. But now that the Qing Dynasty knows, perhaps the future of extinction will not happen again. Ying Zheng frowned lightly. Li saw what was on his mind. Immediately bowing his hand, he said, Your Majesty, as long as the Great Qing continues to develop and prosper according to the sky curtain. The day Your Majesty destroys the Qing Dynasty, it will definitely be as easy as a palm. Upon hearing this, Ying Zheng nodded in agreement. Waste clearance. Su Han looked at his phone and gave a faint review. Dynasties in history. There are two things he dislikes the least. Yuan and Qing. These two were both conquered by foreign tribes in the Central Plains. By comparison, the late Qing Dynasty was particularly repulsive. That's why there is this sentence, waste cleaning. Su Han didn't know, but his own comment. Being heard clearly by the people of Kyushu. Especially the young emperor of the Qing Dynasty, Kangxi. 004, the anti-heavenly evil skill has been live-streamed, competing among different dynasties. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xianren Jianping. My Qing Dynasty is so unbearable. Being rated as waste by immortals. Kangxi was like sitting on a needle and felt, piercing his back like a light. Wei Xiaobao didn't know how to persuade him anymore. After all, immortals criticize by name. This curse cannot be washed away no matter what. I can only endure it. The common people are indeed foolish, indeed foolish. But besides using their flesh and blood to resist foreign guns and cannons, what else can they do? This is like a golden man with a wolf's tooth stick, and I have the courage to mourn like a heavenly spirit. If you don't resist, you will be bullied by foreigners, you will be slaughtered. Empress Dowager Cixi is even more powerful. Jian Yi and the group's momentum was immense, and they immediately wrote 12 war letters to the 8 kingdoms. I want to drive away wolves and swallow tigers. The result was a disastrous loss. Compensation for ceding land. Kill your head to make amends. That white snowflake silver. But they are all the common people's cream and cream. Early death and early rebirth in the Qing Dynasty. Throughout the dynasties, no one has been so cowardly. They were first bullied by Japan and then by the Western Allied forces, unable to kneel and their knees were muddy. Hey, how good would it be if everyone in the Boxer Rebellion really knew divine skills and were not afraid of foreign guns and cannons? Martial arts are all deceiving, don't be superstitious. Well, it's just a group of boxers. You can say that these farmers are ignorant, but you cannot deny that this is a people's war to defend their homeland. The barrage rolled over the video. Kyushu World. Tang Dynasty. Li Shimin watched this clip. I only feel an unnamed fire rising. Although the heavenly curtain mentions the people of the Qing Dynasty. The people of Kyushu and mainland China are actually one entity. The people of the Central Kingdom, where did you end up being bullied by overseas barbarians? I didn't expect the Qing Dynasty to be so useless. If I were in the Tang Dynasty, I would call these foreign tribes, there will be no return. Li Shimin's body surged with a momentum of gold and iron, swallowing thousands of miles of energy. The Guanyi maid was puzzled and said, "Your Majesty, look at that line of characters. They say it's Japan and have also bullied the Qing Dynasty. But Japan, isn't it just a small country with bullets? He often sends envoys to pay homage to my Tang Dynasty. Surprisingly, they can also bully Qing." Once this statement is made, Li Shimin is even more contemptuous. At this glance, the future of the Qing Dynasty is truly unbearable. It is worthy of being praised as waste by immortals. While calculating, Yuan Tiangang said, "Your Majesty, the confidence of Western countries and Japan's invasion of Kyushu should be the foreign guns and cannons. As far as I know, both the Ming and Qing dynasties were developing this item. The former had a Shinji camp, while the latter had a firearms camp. Perhaps in the future, the status of foreign guns and cannons will be very important." Li Shimin agreed and said, "Not bad, it seems that my Tang dynasty will also vigorously develop this item." Xiangyang Palace of the Great Qing Dynasty. Ying Zheng's murderous aura dissipated. The civil and military affairs of the Manchu dynasty seemed to be in an abyss, silent as a cicada. As the great Qin ancestor dragon with a broad mind, Ying Zheng had long regarded the 9 provinces as a treasure in his pocket. Kyushu states, "The future will also be the territory of Daqin. Western countries and Japan. How dare you invade your own territory?" Ying Zheng has a strong killing intent. However, he did not lose his sanity. Instead, he grasped the key point with great clarity. Zhao Gao orders the Xiangyang family and generals to serve as supervisors. Developing foreign guns and cannons, who can develop them first? I am highly rewarded. Zhao Gao bowed and took orders, follow the order. Also, gather information about Japan and Western countries. Prepare early. Ying Zhenlong's eyes were cold. Since such a war is bound to occur in the future, he doesn't mind preparing early. Insert the black dragon flag of Daqin overseas. Wudong Mountain. Zhang Sanfeng and his disciples looked up at the sky in silence. As a defender of the great Song Dynasty border, a humanoid barrier that resists the Mongols, Zhang Sanfeng is well aware of the consequences of foreign invasion. It's nothing more than burning, killing, looting. Regardless of gender, age, it is difficult to escape a disaster. In times of disaster and famine, even being crowned as a 2-legged sheep, the suffering suffered by the people is indescribable. Although the Qing dynasty was far apart, the people of Kyushu were the same. Seeing the dead peasant uprising on the sky, Zhang Sanfeng's gaze was filled with pity. "Master, it is said on the sky that martial arts are all fake. Is it difficult? In the future, martial arts will be lost in Kyushu." Song Yuanxiao's focus is different, he asked with confusion. Zhang Songshi continued, "The martial arts of the 9 provinces are prosperous, and even if they decline, they cannot be lost. The future is too difficult to say." Zhang Sanfeng pondered for a while before coming up with an idea. Turning around, he instructed his eldest disciple. "Yuan Xiao, starting from today, our Wudang disciples can be subdued and sought after. Collect more folk people who are willing to practice martial arts. Even if you can't learn my Wudang divine arts, you can still strengthen your body and cultivate your character. Prevent major changes in the future world pattern and foreign invasion." Song Yuanxiao arched his hand and said, "Master, be merciful." In Gui Sect. In Ho Zhu Yuyan looked at the sky curtain, her eyes flickering. Unexpectedly, in the future, the Kyushu countries will not only have civil wars. There are also a large number of foreign invasions. Interesting. Ah, come forward. In the crowd behind her, A barefoot girl gracefully flew over. Master. I respectfully salute. The Immortal has already shown us that the world is about to become chaotic. Cihang Jingzhai will definitely not be idle. You should also enter the world now. S expression was brilliant. I obey your orders. Many people slandered and mocked the Boxer rebellion, only killing over 200 foreign devils. But the fact is, there were over 1,300 island devils killed by the Boxers. All of them are in a certain toilet, with names and surnames recording the cause of death. As for the massacre of the religious people, many of them were soldiers and bandits who took advantage of the situation to kill and steal wealth, and framed the Boxer rebellion. I saw the video here. Su Han's mood is a bit complicated. As a modern person who can view history from a divine perspective, the Boxer rebellion is indeed ignorant and ignorant. But at that time, the national conditions of the Qing Dynasty were there. The limitations of the times lie there. This group of suffering, ignorant farmers. What else can be done? That was a feudal, backward, and doomed peasant uprising. Let's watch something relaxing instead. Su Han took a sip of hot water. Make a snoring sound. Kyushu world. The emperors and people of various countries heard it clearly. Donghai Peach Blossom Island. Huang Rong's beautiful eyes widened. This voice. Fairy, is this drinking water? Ha ha ha, it's so fun. Huang Rong's laughter is clear and pleasant to the ear. Huang Yaoshi's expression was somewhat strange. The immortal drinking water seems to be no different from himself, immortal. It seems that the fairy world is not quite what I imagined. Meanwhile, Su Han's fingers slipped. A new video appears on the sky of Kyushu world. The splendid scene above. Everyone couldn't help but widen their eyes. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 005, Sword Immortal Technique. I also need to experience the prosperity of the Ming Dynasty. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Video title. Come and experience the feeling of flying with a sword. I saw a pair of feet stepping on a sword and flying into the sky from the mountaintop. At the same time, sensory music began to play. Love, it hasn't come yet, between heaven and earth. The wind and clouds suddenly change, those who have feelings and righteousness must come back, looking back at the perspective. Behind me is a cluster of palace buildings surrounded by green mountains. Against the backdrop of clouds and clouds, in the independent mountains. Like a white jade capital in the sky. Then his gaze turned back, and the sword wielder clenched his hand and made a decisive decision. The flying sword suddenly rushed into the sky, plowing open the clouds and broadening his field of vision. The magnificent mountains and rivers offer a panoramic view. This is a perspective that does not belong to ordinary people. Xiangyang Palace of the Great Qing Dynasty. Upon seeing this scene, Ying Zheng's dragon eyes sparkled with brilliance. I didn't guess wrong. The sky curtain will not only showcase the future world, but also the immortal realm. Flying with a sword is a legendary technique possessed by immortals. A barrage of bullets continued to emerge from the screen of light. Who sent out the video of me delivering my sword by express delivery? Fly slowly, I'm dizzy sword. Please make sure to add a guardrail to my flying sword. It reminds me of the first time my master took me to wield a sword. Don't worry, during the period of building the foundation, you can wield the sword, and the golden pill can fly in the air. Everyone, it's still the time to practice Qi. Let's practice well first. During the Qi training period, you can use flying magic tools to fly. After several videos of exposure, everyone knows that the text appearing on the screen can better help them understand other worlds. So in addition to watching the video, I also allocate my energy to reading the text above. Ying Zheng is like this. He looked at the barrage, trying to understand its meaning. Judging from the meaning of these words, they also evolved from ordinary people, step by step, to cultivate into immortals. Building foundations, using golden pills, and practicing qi. Are these the realms of immortality? Ying Zheng's heart was filled with passion. I glimpsed the possibility of mortals becoming immortals. Li Si said at this moment, Your Majesty, I believe that what this light curtain displays is not only the world of the future, but also other worlds. For example, the world where the swordsman is located is neither immortal nor future, it should be a new world. The imperial palace of the great Tang dynasty. National teacher, what world is this? Can everyone fly like this in the future world? Li Shimin's eyes were filled with anticipation. Xiaoyao, Qingxian, Chongqing, Feitian. This is a temptation that no one can resist in the Kyushu continent, from emperors to commoners. Even the wisest hero cannot escape this level. Yuan Tiangang was a bit embarrassed. Although I can calculate, this light curtain is controlled by immortals. How could I possibly glimpse into its mysteries? He looked at the text floating over and pondered, saying, I can't say for sure whether it's the future, the immortal realm, or the new world. However, as I looked at the palace Taoist temple, I was quite familiar with it. The Guanyin maid asked in confusion, Oh, is this the architecture of our Kyushu? National teacher, where is the light curtain? Tell me quickly. Li Shimin asked excitedly. If you can find the exact place and ask the immortal, there is a shortcut. Yuan Tiangang hesitated for a moment and said, I look a bit like Laojun Mountain. Qing Dynasty Qianqing Palace. Immediately send someone to Laojun Mountain. Make sure to find the immortal in the light curtain and invite him to our Qing Dynasty. Kangxi excitedly patted the table. As a poor student named and criticized by immortals. His current greatest hope is to reverse the future of the Qing Dynasty. Firearms and cannons must be vigorously developed. Besides, it would be even better if we could find the immortal. In the future, if we unify Kyushu, the future of the Qing Dynasty will definitely be a different picture. I'll leave this matter to you, Xiaobao. You must not let me down. Kangxi said. Is it so easy to find immortals? Is it still a fairy that you can find? Wei Xiaobao was speechless in his heart and replied with a smile on his face, Yes, Your Majesty. Wudong Mountain in the Great Song Dynasty. Zhang Sanfeng murmured, Practice qi, build a foundation, and use the golden elixir. Isn't this the realm of our Taoist cultivation? How could this path be accessible? As a Taoist, Zhang Sanfeng naturally also looked at Taoist scriptures. What I have only learned from it is martial arts. I haven't cultivated any magic or refined any golden pills. A golden pill swallowed into my stomach, only then did I realize that my fate is not determined by heaven. In Zhang Sanfeng's view, they are all just legends. Because in this world, there is only martial arts and no immortality. However, upon seeing this video, Zhang Sanfeng's heart was shaken once again. It seems that we need to re-study the Taoist collection. Just as Kyushu was shocked by the sight of flying swords. Suan's fingers slipped and a new video appeared. Title: Netizens' request for a comprehensive agricultural survey, let's make a reasonable assessment. Because of the production of cranberries, people in the Black Province are all in a daze. Chuan people are also confused. Do we still produce caviar? Also, due to the production of South American white shrimp, the equally naive Gan people, the Jin people who produce hairy crabs, the Yu people who produce artificial diamonds, and the Gaoqing people who produce foie gras. Today is the confession game, let's talk about kimchi first. The kimchi produced by our country is not enough to eat, and we need to import hundreds of thousands of tons of kimchi every year. 90% of this comes from Renzhou town in China, yes, you heard it right, a town. Especially in recent years, there has been a high incidence of extreme weather in the country of kimchi. Their cabbage prices have decreased and are high. Our town of Renzhou directly exports our own cabbage and kimchi, and we also harvest cabbage nationwide. After processing, we sell it to kimchi country to increase farmers' income. Come on, let's have some music. The suit host on the screen snapped his fingers. A penetrating musical instrument sounded, with a mournful and moving melody, and it was Liangzhu. At the same time, a satellite map appears on the screen. Gradually shrinking from the world to the territory of one country, one province, and finally precise to one place. This is the violin, a representative of Western musical instruments. More than 80% of the world's mid to high-end violins are produced in Kaishan County, Hunan Province, China. The annual production of violins is 400,000, with an annual output value of over 600 million yuan. Change the music. A coquettish instrument plays its sound. The map has also been replaced again. Daming Palace. Zhu Hozhao looked at the light curtain, listened to the instrument, and couldn't close his mouth with a smile. This instrument is also very interesting. Violin, saxophone. Why haven't I heard of it before? Chao Jingchun flattered and said, "These are all Western things, and it's normal that your Majesty hasn't heard of them. I heard that our ancestors have traveled to the West 7 times before, but why haven't they brought back some of these novel things?" Zhu Hozhao rubbed his hands and said, "It seems that I need to send someone to go to the West again." In the depths of the Daming Palace. An old eunuch with white hair looked at the sky. Eyes filled with memories. Unexpectedly, Jinmu released such a detailed map. This is much clearer than the map we drew back then. With this map, in the future, the West will also be part of the territory of the Ming Dynasty. The old eunuch chuckled and exuded a terrifying aura. 006, brushing out peerless beauties, Li Air is dumbfounded. You are listening at novelfull.audio. However, when he thought of the virtues of the little emperor, Kuehua ancestor became somewhat worried. This kid eats, drinks, and plays all day without any ambition, and the entire atmosphere of the Ming Dynasty is worn down. If this continues, when will the Ming Dynasty be able to regain its peak and become as strong as Qin and Tang? Wang Xianren, guide the maze. Sunflower ancestor looked at the light curtain with a heavy heart. Da Qin. Ying Zheng's mood was even more exciting. Painter, have you drawn the map yet? He turned his head to look at the palace painter behind him. A few painters looked serious at the light curtain and quickly took action. However, before they could finish drawing, a massive barrage of bullet comments flooded the entire light screen. Great, I have gained a more comprehensive understanding of my motherland. Chuan people say they really don't know. Cold knowledge, Hunan province is the world's largest producer of artificial diamonds. Ah. Do you have any experts? People from Anhui province have never heard of Gaoqing foie gras. Several painters were sweating profusely upon seeing this. How to draw with so many words blocking tightly and solidly. Your Majesty, I have already drawn it. Zhao Gao, who had been silent all along, handed over the cloth. He quickly replicated the map perfectly with his exceptional memory and hand speed. Li Si looked at the other person with a surprised expression in his eyes. He also remembered the map, but he definitely couldn't draw it so quickly. Ying Zheng took the map and spoke excitedly. It turns out that the world is so vast, and the Kyushu continent is just a corner of the world. With this map, you won't have to worry about expeditions to the west in the future. Immortals know a lot, just a little bit can bring endless benefits to people. At this moment, Su Han finished watching the video and immediately slid out a new one. Title: Mrs. Cost Joel Bounce. I saw an ordinary plain-faced girl sitting in front of the camera, wearing pajamas. She opened her makeup box and organized her tools in an orderly manner without saying a word. The whole Kyushu world is watching her. She first put on a pink headband. Then apply a layer of white foundation. Make dot up on your face to cover all the flaws. Next is face repair, highlight, thrush, beautiful pupil, lipstick. In no time, her face was transformed into a beautiful woman's face like magic. Then she put on a wig for herself. Stand up and turn around in front of the camera. After editing and turning around, she completed the cross-dressing. Black camisole skirt. Black boots. The exposed skin is snow-white, clean, and full of elasticity. At this moment, she has completely transformed into a beautiful and explosive anime character. A pair of big eyes playfully blinked at the screen. In an instant, the barrage overwhelmed the screen. Elegance, it's just too elegant. My mom, what high heels. I was stunned by the special effect of the sleeper slot button replacement. I can only say it's really amazing. I feel dizzy even at dusk. I have never seen the people of Kyushu cross-dressing before. Upon seeing this video, I was immediately stunned and speechless. What kind of magic is this? The imperial palace of the great Tang Dynasty. Li Shimin's eyes widened. This woman had a very ordinary appearance before. But with such a change, she directly became a stunning beauty. This bizarre costume, explosive music, and dance movements that are completely different from the dance styles of various countries in Kyushu, but also very pleasing to the eye. Not only men, but even women cannot move their gaze. Guanyin maid has no hint of jealousy. Concentrated on watching the little sister dance on the screen of light. My arms couldn't help but sway along with the music. Only Yuan Tiangang, with 100 thoughts, couldn't understand it. How did this woman change? Donghai Peach Blossom Island. Huang Rong's beautiful eyes sparkled brightly. Facing the light curtain, I watched and danced, almost copying the complete dance posture of the other party. Everyone has a love for beauty, and women are even more so. Seeing such a beautiful dance, Huang Rong couldn't help but refuse to learn. I didn't expect the beauty of the fairy world to dance so captivating. Huang Yaoshe also secretly sighed. He had a deep and infatuated love for his deceased wife, so he only had admiration for this little sister and had no other intention. Blackwood Cliff. Dongfang Bubi looked at the light curtain and fell into contemplation. As a woman, she hardly ever dresses or applies makeup. But she didn't want to, but rather had a stronger desire for force, suppressing her love for beauty. Now, this cross-dressing video has awakened the other side of her heart. Makeup looks pretty good, murmured Dongfang Bubi. Upon hearing this, Bai Xiong, a child from the Wind and Thunder Hall, immediately understood her meaning. Master, should I go down and buy some rouge and water powder? He asked tentatively. Dongfang Bubi instinctively refuses. However, looking at the woman dancing freely on the screen of light, he hesitated for a moment and said, "Go ahead, don't let anyone know." Tong Baixiong grinned and said, "I understand." Linen Palace of the Great Song Dynasty. National teacher Huang Shang looked at the light curtain and couldn't help but shake his head and chuckle lightly. Unexpectedly, immortals also love to watch beautiful women dance. It seems that in no time, this dance will become popular in Kyushu and spread to all countries. The spread of the Tianmu is undoubtedly extremely powerful, coupled with the sharp contrast brought by the contrast before and after this video, and the highly infectious dance, it is inevitable that it will become a trend. Huang Shang glanced a few times, then withdrew her gaze and turned to Emperor Zhao Quan. Your Majesty, there is one thing that needs to be prepared early. Although this 10,000-mile sky curtain is a means of immortality, it is clear that immortals have no intention of intervening in the mortal world at present. We still need to guard against those with intentions, using the name of the heavenly curtain to engage in rebellious behavior. To put it more bluntly, it is to guard against artificial rebellion below. Compared to other countries, the Great Song Dynasty was originally not strong. Sewing and patching, barely surviving. If someone were to dig a one-eyed stone man or chop off a white snake or any other uprising, even if it could be quelled by the Great Song Dynasty, it would be very uncomfortable. Zhao Quan couldn't help but enjoy watching the little sister dance. Nodding nonchalantly, he said, I understand now. The national teacher doesn't need to worry. This dance is authentic. Su Hanley commented happily. Apart from the short duration, this video has no other drawbacks. Suan fantasized that his future wife would also be cozy. In that case, one person can be 1,000 soldiers and horses, don't be too pleased. Su Han dragged the video progress bar back and watched it again before sliding to the next video. The screen flashes and the title appears. Zhao Yun, Song Wanzong, was despised throughout his life. This is a historical commentary video. The title is hard to hold. Song Wanzong, talented. Su Han smiled and commented. At the same time, the bloggers in the video also started their own output. P.S. Looking for flower evaluation tickets. Use your little hands to read the official grandfather. The preliminary data of the new book determines the life and death of the book. 007, Emperor Wanzong of Song, Huang Rong and Xiangyang's death robbery. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the death of an emperor, his body was stolen and his skull was turned into a wine glass. This person is the fifth ruler of the southern Song Dynasty, Emperor Lizong of Song. The blogger's opening statement surprised the emperors of various countries. After death, the body was stolen and the skull was turned into a wine glass. What kind of person is so bold? Are you not afraid of being executed by 9 tribes when treating a ruler of a country like this? Da Qing. Ying Zheng frowned and thought for a while, but couldn't figure out who the Song Emperor Lizong was, so he asked. Li Si, how many emperors was Emperor Lizong of the Song Dynasty? Li Si was also a bit confused when asked. He is very familiar with the history of various countries. Throughout the Great Song Dynasty, from the founding emperor to the present day, there have been no Song Lizong. Your Majesty, there is no such emperor in the Great Song Dynasty. Li Si quickly thought of the reason. This may be the future world. This Song Lizong should not have ascended the throne yet. Upon hearing this, Ying Zheng suddenly realized, no wonder I can't remember. It seems that the future of the Great Song Dynasty is also worrying. How could such a thing happen to the ruler of a country? He finished speaking and looked eagerly at the light curtain. Many people say that Emperor Lizong of Song was very unfortunate and a very unlucky emperor, but in fact, due to the ancient profession of Jinxiawei, the corpses of emperors, nobles, generals, and prime ministers throughout history were rarely left untouched. Overall, Emperor Lizong of Song was still very happy when he was alive. His life is very fortunate, comparable to winning 1,000 lottery tickets for an ordinary person. Although he is also a member of the Zhao family, referring to the fact that the old Zhu family had been thriving for over 200 years in the late Ming Dynasty, with a royal family population of several 100,000, the old Zhao family should not be far behind. So as a collateral lineage that could no longer be collateral, Emperor Lizong's father was just a small official in the local county government who did not know whether he was of the 8th or 9th rank, and unfortunately passed away at the age of 7. In this kind of opening scene, if you were to work hard and become a successful candidate, it would be a plot like that of Fan Zhongyan and Shen Shixing. And for our classmate Xiao Zhao, what is Jinshi? My main task is to become an emperor. At the age of 16, all 8 princes of Emperor Ningzong of Song died prematurely and began searching for relatives among the people as a preparation for the crown prince. The blogger is getting more and more enthusiastic, and everyone is also getting more and more enthusiastic about listening. There are only 2 people, and the more they listen, the more they feel off. Zhao Quan looked at the light curtain with a bewildered expression on his face. Isn't this completely talking about oneself? All 8 sons died young, searching for relatives among the people. Did you actually become the protagonist on the light screen? Daming Palace. Zhu Hozhao's face was very ugly. Uncle Huang, did I hear you right? I just heard. The 2 words late Ming. Is it difficult to become my future great Ming society? Previously, when Zhu Hozhao saw an accident in the Qing Dynasty, he smiled happily. Now, when he hears the words, late Ming, he can't laugh at all. Zhu ignored the fine sweat oozing from his forehead, but relatively speaking, he was much calmer. On the Kyushu continent, there are also many countries that have perished. Although the foundation of the Ming Dynasty is vast, it has not been passed down to the world. This is very normal, and besides, as long as you work hard, daming will definitely not fall into your hands. Zhu Hozhao couldn't listen at all and said in fear, Uncle Huang, you must help me. The foundation of our ancestors cannot be destroyed in my hands. Emperor Lizong of Song was sent to the imperial palace to begin his education. 3 years later, even greater luck came. Emperor Ying Zheng of Song passed away, but due to the preparation of the crown prince, there were actually many people who did not pass the throne to Emperor Lizong. But at that time, the powerful minister Shi Miyuan felt that the crown prince mentioned in the imperial edict was disobedient and instead supported Xiao Zhao, who followed the rules and had better control, as the emperor. Zhao Kuo almost collapsed upon hearing this. He trembled and asked. National teacher, crown prince, have you already entered the palace? Huang Rong looked strange and said, yes. So that means, there are still 3 years left. Zhao Kuo never expected himself to have such a short life. This is too unfair. Even though I am searching for immortals and asking, I often take elixirs. Xiangyang suddenly, the gateway was opened, and Zhao Zhan understood. Those immortal pills must be fake, otherwise I wouldn't have died at all. Immortal, can you save me? I don't want to die so early. I am willing to pay any price. Zhao Quan shouted at the light curtain. Huang Rong sighed. The more you worry about something, the more it becomes. With the Tianmu incident, the entire Kyushu region should know that Emperor Ying Zheng of Song passed away 3 years later, fearing that the great Song dynasty would soon become chaotic. Su Han naturally couldn't hear Zhao Kuo's plea for help. Even if he heard it, he had no choice but to watch the video with great interest. During the life of Emperor Lizong of Song, from a commoner to a prince and then to the emperor, he had the courage to lead the northern expedition, performed acts of kindness that were more peaceful and refined, appointed the famous General Meng Gong, and also valued the treacherous minister Jia Sideo. Apart from the fact that his skull was made into a bowl after his death, I can only say that Zhao Yun's life was worth it. For this period of history, Su Han is actually not very clear. All that can be remembered is that during the reign of Emperor Lizong of Song, he appointed the treacherous Prime Minister Jia Sideo. The people of the Song dynasty were struggling, and most importantly, after the Mongol army invaded and the city of Xiangyang was destroyed, Huang Rong and Guo Jing also died together. The second half is from Jin Yong's martial arts novels. Although it is a novel, Su Han felt uncomfortable after reading it for half a day. Why do you insist on defending Xiangyang and sacrificing your life for the country even if you can learn from Yuan Qingji and live a carefree life overseas? Huang Rong was smart all his life, but in the end, he was still foolish once. Su Han muttered to himself. This sentence has spread throughout the world of Kyushu without error. Donghai Peach Blossom Island. Huang Rong widened her eyes and looked incredulous. The fairy was just saying my name. Dad, did I hear you right? Huang Yaoshi was also greatly surprised and shook his head, saying, that's right, immortal. I did say your name. What the immortal means is that in the future, I will defend Xiangyang and die for my country. Although Huang Rong heard the news of her death, she was not sad or afraid at all. She just said somewhat disappointed, it sounds boring. How could I die like this? Huang Yaoshi's solemn instructions. Ronger, promise your father that no matter what happens, you are not allowed to approach Xiangyang for half a step. Huang Rong did not agree and said with a smile, no, I still want to go and see why I died in Xiangyang. Don't act recklessly. The immortal is merciful, he opened your deadly calamity, and you happened to bump into it. What kind of words do you sound like? Huang Yao said with a pale face. As the two were arguing, Su Han's fingers slid and a new video appeared in everyone's sight. 008, Mie Qing. Mighty and awe-inspiring. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Video rollout, titled, Essential Skills for Crossing Time, Method of Making Garlic Flavor. Seeing this thing, Su Han's eyes lit up. As a fan of bone ash level online literature, I can't be more familiar with traveling through this kind of thing. Su Han used to frequently browse short videos such as travel guides to learn the skills of travelers from talented bloggers in case of unexpected needs. Unexpectedly, this time he also discovered the method of making allicin. Take a look. If you travel back to ancient times, whether in times of chaos or peace, and due to factors such as hygiene conditions, without vaccines and modern medical security, would you feel like your life is in danger even if you move? Even with extensive and profound traditional Chinese medicine, in a situation where everyone is self-reliant and limited by the means of knowledge dissemination, good doctors are still hard to come by. Therefore, it is necessary to develop some divine medicines to provide some protection for life. Here we will teach you how to make a magical drug called allicin, which is antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, auxiliary in treating digestive system diseases, and improving the body's immunity. The Imperial Palace of the Great Tang Dynasty. Li Shimin immediately realized the importance of the content of this light curtain. Immediately, 2 sacrificial figures were sent for record keeping. You too must record the content on the light screen word for word. Remember, I have many rewards. The 2 sacrificial figures nodded solemnly, but did not respond. Instead, they were completely focused on watching the sky. The video is still playing. Firstly, you need to customize a still. Metal customization is not affordable, so is ceramic. If you have already fired the glass, having a set of glass still would be great. For those who are not yet aware, it is recommended to take a look at the previous issues. Bronze stills existed as early as the Western Han Dynasty, and the tomb of Marquis Haihun was once unearthed. Then, prepare a lot of garlic to be peeled and crushed, put it in a sealed container, soak it in distilled water for a period of time. It can be put into a still and distilled with water. You can wrap a thick cloth soaked in cold water outside the catheter to serve as a condenser, and the resulting golden liquid with a strong garlic flavor is called crude allicin. Another extraction method is to first crush the garlic, dry and crush it over low heat, and then soak it in high alcohol for a period of time. The upper liquid is the simplest form of allicin. Allicin can effectively treat diseases such as pertussis, meningitis, acute dysentery, diphtheria, and loss of appetite. It can also improve the body's immune system, with fast and outstanding therapeutic effects. In ancient times, it was a reliable divine medicine. However, there are also drawbacks. The dosage of allicin is 40 mg each time, 3 times a day, and it can still be maintained for 3.5 hours at room temperature, so it needs to be used as needed. Seeing this video, the people of Kyushu are countless, and there are countless thrillers. Can it treat pertussis and dysentery? Is it true? On the village road. A farmer looked at the sky with tears in his eyes. My child's whooping cough is getting worse and the doctor is at a loss. If this allicin can really treat it, the farmer said, kneeling down and kowtowing to the sky curtain, I kowtow to the immortal. This situation occurs in various places. Although this is a world of martial arts, the majority of ordinary people cannot practice martial arts, and there is no shortage of human suffering, especially young children with weak resistance. Therefore, when this allicin appears, it is a life-saving medicine. Xiangyang Palace of the Great Qing Dynasty. Ying Zheng said, have you all written it down? The 2 painters respectfully said, I have taken note of your majesty. Ying Zheng glanced at the cloth, and the graphics on it were almost identical to the distillation pole that appeared on the sky curtain just now. Great, Zhao Gao, take the drawings to the supervisor and let them build this still as quickly as possible. Here. The Imperial Palace of the Qing Dynasty. Kangxi was also very excited. The immortal was merciful and even took out this divine medicine to save the world. With this Allison, the probability of children dying young can be greatly reduced. Kangxi immediately returned to his study, wrote a decree, and ordered people to study the still with all their might. The Imperial Palace of Dali Kingdom. Duan Jingming and Duan Jingchun brothers all stopped writing. The two of them started by themselves and drew the blueprint of the still according to the display of the sky curtain. I didn't expect the heavenly curtain to have this effect. Now, those children who have been tormented by illness are saved. Duan Jingming smiled and said, "Immortals are merciful. If used for antibacterial and anti-inflammatory purposes, be careful when in contact with the skin, as excessive irritation can lead to contact dermatitis. After checking the information, the temperature should not be too high during distillation. The temperature should be maintained at 75.80 for vacuum distillation. Please provide tutorial videos on steelmaking, cannon making, firearms, and hydraulic forging machines. I am preparing to travel to the late Ming Dynasty to resist the Qing Dynasty. New Era Youth Learning. In a valley. Hu Qingyo carefully records everything on the sky. As a doctor, it was the first time he had heard of something like Allison. But since it can treat the disease, it's worth trying. If the attempt is successful, those ailments can be easily overcome. Daming. Zhu Hozhao saw a barrage of bullets floating above the sky. I feel like crying without tears. The end of Ming, it's the end of Ming again. I'm just a little playful, and I wouldn't have ruined the entire Ming Dynasty, would I? Wait, late Ming Dynasty, anti-Qing. Zhu Hozhao discovered Huadian. Is it true that the Ming, have come to the end? It's actually the Qing who is playing tricks. I knew for a long time that Qing Dynasty was not a good thing. Who would make their hair so ugly? Money Mouse Tail, it seems that Qing Dynasty can't keep it anymore. Zhu Hozhao's mind twitched and he immediately made up his mind. Chao Jingchun, draft a decree for me. From now on, I will recruit troops and buy horses to deal with the Qing Dynasty. Chao Jingchun was taken aback. After looking at the blueprint in hand, he asked, "What about Allison?" Of course, it's a two-pronged approach, no delay. Zhu Hozhao swore confidently. Zhu ignored the slight hook at the corner of his mouth. This young nephew was so exhausted that the throne would eventually fall into his own hands. Meanwhile, Blackwood Cliff. Dongfang Bubi looked at the unfamiliar face in the mirror and felt a bit uncomfortable. After applying makeup, she, who is naturally beautiful, did not destroy the natural feeling, but instead added a touch of charm and charm. Master, new things have appeared in the sky. It is said to be a divine medicine that can treat various ailments, Allison. Tong Baixiong burst into the room with a blueprint. Seeing Dongfang Bubi putting on good makeup, he couldn't believe his eyes. This beauty is too foul, isn't it? Is this still my own Eastern brother? What's wrong? It doesn't look good. Dongfang Bubi frowned and asked. Tong Baixiong shook his head repeatedly and said, "The leader of the sect is unparalleled." 009, Heavenly Curtain restarts, Red Ling amazes Zulong and Lier. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just as the entire Kyushu was boiling with Allison, the sky quietly extinguished. It was already getting late, and as soon as the sky went out, the entire Kyushu was shrouded in dim light. Xiangyang Palace of the Great Qing Dynasty. Ying Zheng's expression showed a hint of concern. Lizzie, do you think this sky curtain will light up again? The position of this canopy in his heart is too important. As an ambitious and wealthy emperor with the hope of unifying the 9 provinces, Ying Zheng was unwilling to be just a frog at the bottom of a well. Through the canopy, Ying Zheng saw more possibilities for the great Qin. It all depends on the immortal's intentions, and I can't say for sure, Li Si shook his head. Although he is intelligent, he cannot fathom the will of immortals. Perhaps even if a fairy is in a bad mood and just closes the sky curtain, maybe. Ying Zheng nodded and didn't say anything more. Let's wait and see how it changes. However, Your Majesty, there is one more thing that needs to be prepared early. Li Si said, the sky is mysterious and the people are ignorant. We need to be wary of the remaining evils of the 6 countries, bewitch them with demonic words, and seize the opportunity to cause trouble. The heavenly curtain has a great influence beyond the times, and once used by those with intentions, the people are easily misled. Ying Zheng understood everything and said, I will send a trap to handle it. Daming Palace. Zhu Hozhao exclaimed in surprise, why did the sky curtain go out? Perhaps the immortal needs to rest, Your Majesty. It's getting late, and you should also rest, Chao Jingchun continued. Okay, Chao Jingchun, don't forget to draft the imperial decree for me. Yes, Your Majesty, rest assured that I will definitely handle it for you. Upon hearing these words, Zhu Hozhao reluctantly glanced at the sky behind the scenes and left. As a playful teenager, the freshness and joy brought by this canopy cannot be compared to that of a leopard house. Zhu Hozhao had already begun to look forward to the sky lighting up again in his heart. The imperial palace of the great Tang Dynasty. Li Shimin looked at the content recorded by the Buddhist monk and sighed repeatedly. In just one short day, this sky curtain has sent out so much information. If this continues, I will become prosperous in the Tang Dynasty. The Guanyi maid smiled gently and said, look at what Your Majesty said. The Tang Dynasty was already extremely prosperous, how can it be said to be prosperous? According to the guidance of the heavenly curtain, if it continues to develop, it will not be difficult for us to unify the 9 provinces and bring all nations to court in the future. The Empress is right. Li Shimin was overjoyed upon hearing this. Yuan Tiangang looked at the extinguished sky curtain and thought to himself, the world is like a sea of suffering, and all beings are competing to cross. The immortal opened this sky curtain. Did he add a bundle of firewood or send out an immortal boat? Qing Dynasty Qianqing Palace. Kanshi looked at the extinguished sky and was also secretly calculating. The top 10 anti-heaven techniques, although they may not be in this realm, cannot give up searching. If they were to be obtained by those guys from the Heaven and Earth Society or by another country, my Qing Dynasty would suffer. We also need to send people to Nanyang to search for sweet potatoes. However, the top priority is still to study firearms and cannons. Since we know the future of the Qing Dynasty, we must work hard to change it. Eternal youth is too distant, at least we must emulate King Wu and establish an 800-year national throne for future generations. Although Kangxi was young, his ambition was immense. When he returned to his study, he waved his ink and began to write national policies on the imperial case. Taking advantage of the darkness, all countries began their actions. Firstly, convene ministers and hold court meetings to discuss various countermeasures. Overall, there are only a few. One is to appease the people and beware of malicious rumors that may mislead and incite rebellion. The second is to post notices, search for strange people and individuals, and work together with the country to develop Allison that has appeared on the sky. The third is offering a reward. Anyone who provides the top 10 martial arts techniques that have appeared on the sky and informs the immortal of their whereabouts can receive a reward of thousands of gold and thousands of household lords. Each country seems to be working harder, rewarding each other higher and higher. Especially in the Qing Dynasty, they were even willing to reward the princess for marrying off. This can be seen as a huge stimulus for ordinary people. A top-down trend of seeking immortality is brewing. The next morning, Su Han woke up early. It is a monthly rest day. But it was still because of the biological clock that I couldn't sleep in. Born to work hard for life. Su Han roast about himself. After getting up and washing up, I opened my phone and started flashing. Kyushu world. The originally gray sky suddenly lit up. The entire Kyushu people looked up in unison. The sky is shining again. Look. I don't know what the Immortal will show us today. The people are excited and excited. The great Qing Empire. Ying Zheng, who had always been uneasy in his heart, saw the sky light up again and finally let go of his heart. It's lighting up again. Since the operation of the canopy follows a regular pattern, it should be able to function normally for a period of time in the future. Ying Zheng secretly speculated. I saw the sky flickering with light, and a huge title appeared. The national team explodes into high notes and sings Red Ling again. The exquisite opera voice sings the joys and sorrows of the rivers and lakes. On the fiery stage, a female singer wearing a modern black dress stood in the center, raised her microphone, and her voice was like a spring breeze, telling a story. When the play breaks down, the sleeves rise and fall. Singing about joys and sorrows, singing about separation and harmony, it has nothing to do with me. The fan opens and closes, and the drums and gongs sound silently. Outside Mirror Lake, a cup of tea is still warm. Accustomed to blending joy, anger, sorrow, and joy into ink and powder. How about singing through Chinci? My bones, blue, and gray are all mine. In times of chaos, the floating duckweed endures to watch the beacon fire burn mountains and rivers, and its humble position never forgets its concern for the country, even if no one knows me. Ying Zheng has never been a person who indulges in debauchery. But the songs and beauties that appear on this sky are really heart-stirring. Even he listened attentively. Zhao Gao watched quietly beside him like a stone, without any expression. But next, even he was slightly moved by it. The audience walked by, but the old colors were nowhere to be seen. The people on stage are singing a song of heartbreak and farewell. The word emotion is difficult to write, and when she sings, she needs to use blood to reconcile. As the curtain rises and the curtain falls, who is the guest? The explosive theatrical sound lingered on the beam. Then, a costume actress walked out of the stage. Her eyes and body are all incredibly beautiful, and she shakes her fan lightly, reciting. Profound regret and seriousness, looking back, all illusions. As she recited her words, the female singer continued to sing, with deep and heart-stirring emotions. Ying Zheng's gaze was surprised. Song, can you still sing like this? And, is it so pleasant and melodious? Is this the song of the future world? By contrast, the songs of Kyushu are more or less uninteresting. The imperial palace of the great Tang Dynasty. Li Shimin was stunned. Although there have been song and dance programs broadcasted on Tianmu before, beauty is beautiful, but it is not as thrilling. Xiangyang, is this Xiangyang? It's really good to sing. The Guanyi maidservant nodded repeatedly and said, the lyrics and music are both excellent. I dare not forget my worries about my country in my humble position. The woman in this song is also a woman who cares about her country. I think there should be a heart-stirring story behind this song, said Li Shimin. 010, Kyushu Earthquake, Flattening Wa Island. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Imperial Palace of the Qing Dynasty. Kangxi, who had just finished handling the court affairs, was also watching the sky curtain. This song is as red as a stone casting water, and it also stirred up waves in his heart. I can't believe that the songs of the future will be so wonderful. Even royal court music is difficult to surpass. Kangxi enjoyed the music and was completely intoxicated. At this point, the barrage also quickly increased. The time for the great demon king to sing magic. I truly envy the people present at the scene. I feel really uncomfortable listening to this song. Kneeling down and listening to it is indeed much better. Subconsciously following the words, I almost suffocated. I dare not forget my worries about my country, no matter how many times I listen, I am very excited. A fire-red stage with good details that fits the background story. As if listening to fairy music, my ears are temporarily bright. All the people of Kyushu, regardless of gender, age, put down their work and listen carefully to this song. This is the greatest respect for this song. I have also asked the blue and yellow, and I have sung the rise and fall with a resounding voice. The way is ruthless, and the way has emotions. How can I think about it? The Tao is merciless, the Tao has emotions, how can one think? Looking at the yen clouds, looking at Bianliang, dreaming for a moment. The lingering fairy sound dissipates, and the stage comes to an end. At this moment, the people of Kyushu finally came to their senses with a sense of loss. Each one is still unsatisfied. No matter how many times you listen, it still sounds so good. Su Han also commented in the same way. As a popular song on the internet, he has listened to it dozens of times, but he often listens to it frequently and is not tired of it at all. After giving a thumbs up to the video, Su Han slipped his finger and created a new video. Title: How much do you know about the story behind Xiangyang? It should be due to big data, because Su Han liked and the platform immediately pushed relevant content. However, Su Han is not averse because only videos he is interested in will be liked, so most of the content he pushes is also his favorite. Isn't Xiangyang a song and the story behind it? Su Han looked at it with some confusion. You must have come across the song Xiangyang before, but you may not know that behind this song lies a tragic story. In the 26th year of the Republic of China, with the sound of a Japanese gun, the entire Chinese nation entered a darkest moment. In a place called Anyuan County in Jiangxi Province, after the Japanese attacked this place, they heard that there was a famous opera character named Pei Yanji in the area. They came to the theater and called on Pei Yanji to appear, giving them a performance of condolences. If Pei Yanji dares to refuse, it will burn down the entire theater and even the entire county town, and everyone will die. Pei Yanji smiled slightly and did not refuse. He returned to the dressing room, stroke by stroke, and painted his eyebrows and eyes. Today, he is going to play the role of Li Xiangjuan, who dares to love, hate, and even bloodstain peach blossoms. With the sound of gongs and drums, the theater regained its former hustle and bustle, and the Japanese military officers crowded into this small theater, enjoying the performances on stage in ecstasy. Although the melody is beautiful and the dance moves are exquisite, the country are shattered, and the mountains and rivers are scattered. Pei Yanji's singing becomes even more melodious and sorrowful, with a poignant tone. The cuckoo cries for blood. The jackals and wolves under the stage seem to have been suppressed, and at this moment, Li Xiangjuan, on the stage shouted, "Ignite!" Originally, before taking office, Pei Yanji was prepared to die with the Japanese army. When the Japanese army reacted, the fire had already spread and they wanted to escape, only to find that all the doors and windows were sealed. The theater collapsed, but the play did not stop. In the raging fire, the stage was still babbling with the song, Peach Blossom Fan, full of joys and sorrows. People all say that actors are ruthless, but how do they know that actors also have a heart, and they dare not forget their worries about the country, even if no one knows me. After watching this video, Su Han's heart was blocked. Fortunately, some comments say that this is a virtual story, which can be considered a bit of comfort. But Su Han suddenly realized that when the Japanese invaded, countless heroes died due to resistance against Japan, and his mood became bad again. Don't forget national shame. Suan silently gave a like to the video. I don't know yet, but this video has caused a huge uproar in Kyushu. Xiangyang Palace of the Great Qing Dynasty. Listening to Xiangyang, I felt that the song was mournful. It turns out there is such a story behind it. Ying Zheng's eyes showed a hint of sadness. It has to be said that he was moved by this story. With the identity of a playwright, defending the country and protecting the country, such a brave hero should not end up like this. This should also be a matter of the future. It seems certain that the Japanese army will invade Shenzhou in the future. There is really no need to keep this small country of bullets. Ying Zheng unleashed his murderous aura. Wudong Mountain. After watching the video on the rooftop, Zhang Sanfeng felt that his whole person was not doing well. What exactly happened in the future? A small country that knows how to make a bullet ride on the heads of the Kyushu states and cause these human tragedies. It's better to take advantage of my youth and good leg skills to go overseas. To avoid many war incidents in the future. Zhang Sanfeng stroked his beard, showing a strong killing intent. Master, you must not use it. The eldest disciple Song Yuanxiao immediately advised, while island is far overseas, on the sea, constantly changing. Accidents can happen at any time. This is fate, not human resistance. You, the elderly, must not take personal risks. Yeah, even if you want to go, we'll go, Zhang Songshi continued. Several disciples spoke out one after another to persuade. Upon hearing this, Zhang Sanfeng temporarily dispelled the idea. Alright, I'll just casually say, what are you guys so excited about? In fact, Zhang Sanfeng secretly thought that this matter seemed to have to be done quietly. The imperial palace of the great Tang Dynasty. Unfortunately, lamentable, pitiful, respectable. After reading the story behind Xiangyang, Li Shimin remained silent for a long time and said these 8 words. Not only does the song move people's hearts, but this story also deeply penetrates people's hearts. It seems that we need to put the extermination of Japanese pirates on the agenda earlier. There's nothing good about keeping them. Li Shimin snorted coldly and fell off his sleeve. Your Majesty, it's better to plan carefully and not act rashly. After all, Japan is far overseas, and marching, food and supplies are all difficult problems. If not handled properly, they will all suffer defeat. The Guanyi maid advised on the side. I naturally know. Li Shimin nodded and said, if we want to fight, we must use lightning speed to destroy them. I will plan carefully. Yuan Tiangang listened and observed 3 seconds of silence for Japan. Although you haven't done anything yet and are very innocent, who will let you do so in the future? I'm afraid besides the Tang Dynasty, the Qing Dynasty also had a strong desire to conquer the Japanese island.